Hey everyone, welcome. I hope everyone is having a great day. Welcome to All Street Beat. This is episode 4. Today we're talking about NFTs. In the bull market, they were all the rage. In the bear market, they seem to have become a distant memory. So we're going to be talking about NFTs and if we are getting the most out of them, and if not, why not, and how do we get the most out of them? So let's just take a moment here. We wait for a few more people to arrive. Anybody who's already here, welcome. And yeah, feel free to tweet out and let everyone know that you're here. Let's get as many people as we can into the room. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're just going to take a couple of moments whilst people are arriving. Welcome to All Street Beat, episode 4. We're talking about NFTs today. We're going to discuss whether or not we are getting the most out of NFTs, this excellent, innovative technology, which is at our fingertips in Web3. We've used it so far for mainly um, uh, profile pic exploration and leveraging non-fungible use of IP with regards to profile pics. I think there's a lot more in NFTs, a lot more we could be doing with them, a lot more to explore. Today, we're going to talk about what is the future for NFTs. In the bull market, they were all the rage. Great way to take your proceeds from crypto and reinvest them into assets that are enjoyable to look at and fun to trade. But is that the future for NFTs? We're going to discuss that today. Just waiting for a few more people to arrive. It's still quite empty here, so just give us a minute. We'll wait for a few more people to arrive. If you're here already, welcome. And yeah, send a tweet to your communities, your friends, and just let them know you're here. Let's get the room nice and full. Welcome everybody to the All Street Beat. We'll start in a couple of minutes. So funny. I've been doing these spaces for number of weeks or months even now, and I still don't know how to get that music, that sort of elevator music into the spaces. People tell me that you can set it up whenever you start the spaces, but that's definitely not a setting on my phone. I don't know if it's only something for the privileged iPhone users. I'm an Android user, so yeah, send me a message if you know how to get the music up. Otherwise, welcome everybody. This is the 4th episode of the All Street Beat. It's brought to you by Commonwealth. Commonwealth is a decentralized and democratized application in Web3 that allows retail investors into early stage crypto deals in the same way that VCs have been getting access to high income or high yield, high profit generating opportunities. Commonwealth is an application that allows anybody to invest in those same opportunities, and that leverages Web3 and decentralization capabilities to allow that to happen. It's a really interesting protocol. It's almost ready for market. It's the first of its kind. There's lots of VC3 DAOs or lots of VC DAOs. One of them is called VC3. Sorry for that. There's lots of people that are coming together and collectively investing in crypto. Until now, there is no fully decentralized and fully democratized VC application in Web3. By that, I mean there is nothing that allows you to fully permissionlessly invest. From the moment that you invest, you're investing with hundreds or thousands of other people into early stage crypto opportunities. The whole investment process happening on chain, permissionless and decentralized, right through until the returns are paid back to the investor. All of the proceeds, all of the value incurred or generated by the protocol engine is staying in the protocol. It's all for the proceed. It's all for the benefit of the ecosystem and those people who run and own the ecosystem. So those are the ones who hold the utility token, the wealth token. It's the first of its kind. We're almost ready to launch it. Commonwealth, the clues in the name. It's about everybody having access to the same high yield, high potential investment opportunities that VCs and angel investors have otherwise enjoyed up until now. Commonwealth is doing this show called All Street Beat. All Street Beat is a show which talks about Web3 investment. It talks about all of the problems that we face as individuals, as institutions in navigating this landscape of investing early into sort of cutting edge technology in Web3. Discusses also some of the solutions that are possible and some of the solutions that are required for the space to be optimized. So this is the All Street Beat. This is episode 4. Today we are talking about NFTs. In the bull market, NFTs were, of course, everybody's buzzword. Love them or hate them. You couldn't really get away from the connotation of NFTs with Bored Apes, with profile pics going to insane valuations, and gamers, everybody was sort of kind of getting thrown NFT technology in their faces. Some people have warmed up to the idea that NFTs and this technology is useful. Other people still associate it with pump and dumps, with scams, or with highly overvalued pixels on a screen. We're here today to discuss a bit more about NFTs. If and when the NFT bull market comes back in, or there's a resurgence in interest in NFTs, we would like to discuss what that looks like, and if it is again just a throwback to the profile pic based bull market for NFTs, or if something else is behind this technology. Are we getting the most out of the technology? Are we optimizing what NFTs can do for us in Web3, but also outside of Web3? A lot of use cases are starting to pop up and be discussed around NFTs. So we're really looking forward to a high-level panel here today. We've got some really great speakers lined up for you guys. As always, All Street Beat is about All Street. It's about the collective. It's about many voices coming together to discuss the problems, the solutions, analyzing everything that to do with Web3. Today we're talking about NFTs. So I see we've already got quite a few speakers on the panel. So welcome to the speakers. Welcome to everybody here who's joined us as well. I think we'll get started. So if you're a speaker on the panel, maybe just give us a hello, a wave, and let's invite Ave. Since you're first on my list, you can introduce yourself and just tell us in a nutshell what you're about, why you think this topic is interesting, why it's relevant for you, and tell us if you think we're getting the most out of NFT technology. So Avi, you can unmute yourself. Welcome to All Street Beat, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Hey everyone, good afternoon or good morning to the people on the other side of the world. How's everyone doing? So first of all, I'll be as brief as I can in introduction. I'm Avi. I'm a co-founder of NFT Joinc. This is one of our one-stop solutions for everything Web3, both marketing, product management, strategy, and I'm part of the consulting team in NextGen. Okay, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be part of it and give a little bit that I've learned and that I've known and that I'm experiencing in the NFT world. And it is, we're nowhere near, we're just about scratching the surface. We're just about scratching the surface of what the potential of NFTs are. I actually think we're in the, we'll discuss them through, I'm sure, throughout the space today. I actually think we're in the wrong market at the moment, in the wrong field. Besides art, I think people, you started by asking, the difference between pump and dumps and long-term strategy and productivity. I think there's a long way to learn how to be able to take full advantage of the blockchain technology and NFTs. And I think we're starting to make that path. We're starting to leave the world of the pump and dumps and the quick, fast money and start to take advantage of the technology behind it. I'm glad to be here to share my expertise and knowledge that I've learned.
Thanks, Abby. It's a bit noisy in your background there. I don't know if it's busy time with the kids at home, but yeah, that's no problem. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, let's invite the next person up to introduce themselves. Emperor, you're next on my list. So just yeah, tell us what your interest is in NFTs, and also tell me whether or not you think we're getting the most out of NFT technology. And maybe if you feel kind of inspired, you can tell us a little bit. Maybe there's viewers on here or listeners, sorry, who don't know that much about NFTs. So maybe you can give like a very short kind of background to your experience with NFTs, what you understand them to be, and also if you think we are getting the most out of NFTs at the moment. Emperor, go ahead. If you're listening, unmute yourself and say hi.
Hey, hello. Hey, everyone. Very happy to participate in today's spaces. Yeah, I think in terms of, I've been involved in this space for a number of years, specifically focused on investing. And what I've noticed is that uh, crypto, it's the first wave of any new sector, any new technology is always the one that provides and receives the most hype. And then it takes a few bull and bear cycles to really begin to show its true value. And very similar to the ICO boom that we had in 2017, where a lot of those projects really didn't survive and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. We're seeing that same thing happened with NFTs this last cycle. So the kind of the technology or the ability to generate these PFPs and be able to make insane amounts of money or just see really high valuations became a reality. And as a result, now it's something that is going to be constantly on people's minds. And so it's just developing in the space. It's very early at the moment, but it is very exciting in terms of what transpired this last bull market, what possibilities are there. And then very excited to see as the space develops what we're going to see in the NFT space, where there's going to be much more utility. There's going to be a lot of brands getting involved. And also there's actually going to be consumers that are going to be involved in the process as opposed to crypto natives. And that's where I think we're going to see a lot of progress and a lot of value in terms of how NFTs are really going to bridge the gap between consumers and companies.
Thanks for that, Emperor. Whenever you're speaking, if everyone just wouldn't mind just saying a little bit about your background, so that the listeners have some idea of who you are. Is there anybody on the panel right now who would like to venture the question or venture answering the question? What is the full potential of NFTs in your mind, and where are we today in reaching that full potential? Any NFT experts here who want to try and crack that question? Avi, I'll allow you to speak if your background is a bit better right now with the noise.
How am I now?
Yeah, that's much better, man. Go for it,
Yeah,
Avi.
sorry about that. The door was closed and my kid just decided to walk in at that minute. So I do apologize. Regarding the understanding this technology and what can be taken full advantage of NFTs. I think once you understand the premise and the background of what NFTs are and what they hold, there are so many use cases where I think big companies and many big brands will be coming in. I mean, I think of just one example, which is we all know Starbucks has got involved in creating their NFT project to be able to take advantage for the memberships, for example. I mean, I give an example of a company I was working with, a gym company, where they can take their entire gym company membership on the blockchain and use the
Avi,
membership
sorry,
as
just 1 second, buddy. There, there's no kids in the background, but I'm struggling to hear the audio. Maybe you can just change your headset, and in the meantime, I'll ask somebody else to. I heard you talking about a gym company. I heard you talking about Starbucks. These are like really high potential use cases. Maybe somebody else wants to pick up that thread and tell us, on the spectrum of the full potential of NFT technology, where are we today? Anybody else want to crack that question?
Hey, I'll jump in if I'm coming in okay with my audio. This is Adam from Crypto Fights, and we've been working on a game since 2018 and kind of exploring many different technologies since then. And NFTs, kind of ironically, was when we first started was kind of the lesser uh, uh, carrot for us, and we wanted to think about more about kind of the technology and kind of how. Well, let me actually say it this way: NFTs, in the sense of like the JPEG or kind of some item that you own. We actually looked at it more as a way to kind of operate gameplay. And if you think about it like this, with we have a turn-based game. Maybe one of the players has to possess an NFT to have the authority to make their turn. So we started thinking about kind of these questions a lot, and unfortunately, your question is so profound. We're kind of saying, in the next 5 to 10 years, what is society going to look like with NFTs, right? And I agree a lot with kind of what Emperor was saying. Is that I think we can see some clues right now, and I kind of look at it, the internet in the early '90s, is that we're so novel right now that probably 9 out of 10 people on the street aren't going to understand what the actual technology of an NFT is, and B, how it's going to affect their lives in 5 to 10 years. But I will say, kind of what Avi was saying with Starbucks and all that, coupons, loyalty programs, and all that. It's really kind of a better way to kind of manage I don't know if value is the right way, but incentive programs maybe. I mean, I've seen a bunch of projects that are focusing on being able to do that, because when I go get a gift card for any kind of merchant, there's a whole secondary market for gift cards, right? And NFTs as a gift card is great, because now we can actually have almost like frictionless markets around all of these kind of merchants, credit or script, or however you want to look at it. And I think that's really just the start. Gaming, which is kind of the sector I'm in, I can see a lot, obviously, with game items. With I've heard like the social coins, where if you own a coin, you're kind of a member of a club, and it's kind of an access gate to potentially new content within the game, or maybe it's a website. So I mean, think kind of content gating with it. And I honestly, I could probably just brainstorm for 20 minutes. I think we all could, about what we can use the technology or the properties of NFTs and apply it to kind of the Web 2 world that we kind of grew up in, and how it would change, and I think offer probably more power to the consumer.
That's yeah. I mean, I fully agree with you. It's a nice kind of baseline understanding. I suppose the question is then where we are today with NFTs. In the sort of arena that we operate, Web 3. It's the narrative has been dominated by profile pics. Bored Ape was the kind of the blue chip in that market, but all of the things that you just talked about in terms of utility, whether it's a loyalty program, a gaming item. I like what you said about frictionless markets. We're so far away from that right now. And, I suppose the question is, why are we not putting value and emphasis there yet? Is the technology still not good enough? Or I suppose the other way of looking at that question is, why is the primary use case still profile pics? And why is everyone sort of like checking their NFT portfolio, which is just let's say stacked with different PFP projects? And then the third part of the question, I suppose, just to open up the brainstorming amongst the panel, is what can we look for whenever we are evaluating as retail, in terms of value creation or utility for NFT projects? A lot of people do look for the same kind of criteria that drove the last bull market with regards to NFTs. Is the artwork sick? Are the team doxed? Is there a good ecosystem? Are the right kind of shillers, or are the right kind of influencers talking about the project? That's still one very, very kind of confined way of looking at NFTs, and it has almost no relationship to what you just talked about. So I suppose Lots of things to unpack here. Why are we still at the very kind of entry level when it comes to NFTs when there is this huge potential? There's a few hands up here, so I'm going to go to VJ because you haven't spoken yet. VJ Pravin, just tell us a little bit about yourself in a few seconds, and then also, pick up some threads.
Yep, thanks for having me. Myself Vijay, founder and CEO of BitsCrunch, originally from India but living in Munich, Germany. So we are into NFT analytics and forensics. So since I am from the data world, I can pretty much confidently say that NFTs are definitely going to stay because, frankly speaking, we just had one bull market for NFTs, right? And within that one bull, we have seen so many brands stepping into NFTs, right? From Adidas, Nike, Reddit, Mastercard, Starbucks, and then even in the recent times, Mercedes Benz and Louis Vuitton launched their own NFT collections. So where we are, I mean, yes, PFPs are an easier way for people to dive in initially, where people fell in love with some of the collections like Budgies, Azuki's, and so on. But then, as the technology matures, we will see more and more utilities. So, for instance, Web3 gaming is at a pretty early stage, right? I mean, we cannot expect a Call of Duty in Web3 all of a sudden. It cannot happen overnight. So, given some amount of time, I'm sure people will definitely move from PFPs and arts to games and other utilities as well. And since we scale across 4 chains and index across 30,000 collections, NFTs are highly potential. All I can say that is I'm excited for the next cycles. Thanks.
VJ, tell us it quickly a little bit about what BitsCrunch does. I don't know if everybody around here knows. I know it's quite an exciting project. Just quickly give us an overview there.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, since I come from Germany, maybe I would like to take a reference from TÜV, TUV. It's like a vehicle registration organization here, or from a general crypto Twitter standpoint, we are like the check mark of an NFT. So, in a way, what I mean by that is we look into wash trade informations where people flip NFTs and we validate that with the help of data. And we use AI to determine the fair price of NFTs. I mean, we don't use AI for the sake of using AI because that's the talk of the town. But then we use AI since 2021. So we are building BitsCrunch since 2021. The reason why we are called BitsCrunch is we crunch each and every bits of data behind NFTs, and we also look for copy mints of NFTs because it's easy for anybody to replicate, right? I mean, let's say if I mint an NFT today, for anybody it's an easy double click, right click, save as an image, and then mint the same on a different NFT marketplace. So on the whole, we are like the forensics, we are like the police of NFTs, and we work with DAppRadar. DAppRadar, for instance, is one of our blue chip customers. We also work with Web2 giants like Mastercard, KPMG, Deloitte, and last week we won a Web3 challenge from Accenture, where we ended up as runners and also bagged a cash prize of $15,000. So yeah, on the whole, we are going on a right track. We are backed by some of the best names like Coinbase, Animoca, Polygon, Chainlink, and so on. Till date, we have raised $6.5 million, and yeah, uh, indexed 4 chains. Now on to indexing Solana, which is a beast. So yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, VJ. Thanks a lot. I do want to get onto a little bit around the ecosystem for NFTs. You talked about the different chains that you guys are looking at, but what chains are relevant when it comes to NFTs? We obviously have a huge bias towards Ethereum chain when it comes to NFTs. Almost all of the volume exclusively on that chain. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about whether or not the marketplaces and the other infrastructures around NFTs are mature enough to be able to carry these future use cases. All of this stuff I'd like to, kind of get into and unpack. I'm going to go to the next speaker who on my list is Kadeem Clark. So Kadeem, if you could just unmute yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself And tell us how you view the NFT market today and how you see things evolving, or where you think we need to focus on in order to unleash the full potential of NFTs in the next period. Kadeem, go ahead.
Hi, so I'm Kadeem Clark, head of labs at Momentum 6. I'm also the founder of Renoted Media. We're a ecosystem for Web3 education and news. We have three brands, M6 Labs, which is a research brand focused on finance and how like the global financial system is going to change in the future. We have the crypto Illuminati, which is our DGen group where we host Twitter Spaces too. And then we have Renoted, where we're building a search engine for Web3 news and education too. So in terms of the NFT space, I think I might be biased because I have like a finance background, but I think like the key to like unleashing growth within the space will be deriving value from those assets. So I think like NFTFi will be the gateway to the growth of the overall system too. But additionally, as companies like Nike, Louis Vuitton give out these NFTs, if people can get value from it outside of those closed ecosystems, then I see the space growing a lot.
Sorry, can I just check? Did you say NFT, DeFi NFTs? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, NFT Fi. So NFT FI. So it's NFT DeFi. Deriving value from NFTs by, for instance, staking them, or like getting loans based off your NFTs, or even like creating a ecosystem where people can trade them for value outside of the local ecosystem that exists right now.
Cool. That's awesome, Kadeem. Thanks. I'm going to ask Kyle to talk a little bit about then NFT DeFi in a sec. Or Kyle, if you're there, do you want to say hi and anything you want to pick up on so far? This is Kyle Chase. He's the co-founder of Commonwealth and many other projects in the crypto sphere. He's been around for over 10 years in Web3, and he's one of the people who spots the trend. So I'd love to hear what Kyle has to say about this as well.
Well, I mean, as far as NFTFi, and hello everybody, I'm, I only am really intimately familiar with what we're doing at Commonwealth, which I think is one of the coolest things ever. I'm really bullish about the token economy and the NFT economy. It opens up a whole world of possibilities, and if anyone doesn't know, like, essentially there's a whole bunch of different funds, and you can invest in these funds, and in receipt of your investment you get an NFT, which you can then fractionalize and sell bits, so you're always liquid, which is really cool. We also used in Commonwealth NFTs in replacement of SAFs. So when most people invest into companies in crypto, they'll do a SAF, which is a simple agreement for future tokens. And it's this like old archaic model of having to do paperwork and then thinking that this is going to protect you somehow and blah blah blah. When instead with Commonwealth, all you did was have an NFT that someone could buy, and it's the same thing, and it's already guaranteed these tokens attached to it. So it's a really much more simple, efficient way of doing something like that. I'll just elaborate a little bit into just kind of future use cases of NFTs. I think that we may, as far as the mainstream is concerned, Web3 enthusiasts may always call them NFTs, and we know what they really are. But when it comes down to mainstream adoption, which I think most people here feel like NFTs will definitely have a large degree of massive adoption around the globe, but they won't be called NFTs. They'll be called whatever rewards points. There'll be receipts. There'll be collectibles. There'll be tickets. Whatever, right? It'll just replace all the different things that we have today. Oh yeah, someone's at my door at this hotel. And then they'll just call them whatever it is, and it's just a better way to track authenticity. Hello. Thank you so much. Bye. They will be able to replace kind of the less efficient systems today. You think about things like tickets from Ticketmaster and how that is, like I used to work as a server at a restaurant near the where the Lakers and the Kings play in Los Angeles. And I remember working at this restaurant during the finals of the NBA finals, and someone just came in, told me that they had purchased counterfeit finals tickets like for $20,000, whatever. They were fake. There's just like all of these things that can be replaced with this on the back end. On the front end, it'll look just like the kind of legacy thing, right? But on the front end, or sorry, yeah, the front end will look just like the legacy thing. On the back end, you have the tech of NFTs, and that's really what we're looking for. So my whole thesis around blockchain really is that the blockchain aspect of things uh, does disappear into the kind of background. This is why I'm really looking forward to anyone who's building a layer 1 or layer 2 where the end user doesn't have to pay for gas. There's a lot of layer 2s and even layer 1s that are promising super low transaction fees, and that's cool, but it's confusing for people, right? And last thing that we want to do is make things confusing, right? It was like, you know, uh, AI was impossible for the retail user to use until something easy came and made it easy, so we didn't have to know Python or coding, right? And then even the internet was really hard to use until something like AOL came along or something and opened it up for us. So I still think we're in that state of blockchain right now. I think we're close, but I think that we're still in this primitive state where only enthusiasts are comfortable using it. And so until we get to that space where it just becomes invisible in the background, um, we will have slow adoption. But when that happens, we will have rapid adoption.
Thanks, Kyle. That was brilliant, actually, even though you got interrupted by somebody at your door. I think what Kyle's talking about there is brilliant. Like it is the future. I think everybody so far is agreeing there's going to be a massive place for this type of technology in our society, all the different kind of use cases. And, I think the first speaker said you could sit here for 20 minutes and just list off many, 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 many potential use cases for NFT technology in society. Kyle's saying types of receipts, types of collectibles, types of tickets. You could just think NFT receipts, NFT collectibles, NFT tickets. One person's talked about DeFi NFTs. Kyle's already talked about how NFT technology improved his fundraising strategy for Commonwealth, or the fundraising strategy for Commonwealth, and how NFTs will be, front and center in the use of, this investment service that's going to be run by Commonwealth. So that's all like super interesting. I like the twist, or the idea that we have to really challenge terminology. I think we're all in this group probably here quite familiar with what NFTs means, non-fungible tokens. But if you go to the average person on the street, they likely wouldn't have any idea. They might have read an article about a Bored Ape or something like that. But it really doesn't do justice to what the technology can offer. And terminology does have a big part to play in this. So let's call on the next speaker to come in and just share your thoughts around this. Let's have Huge Boba from El Cafe Cartel. I'd love to hear your thoughts so far on this. If you want to add anything, tell us where you think we're headed with NFT technology. Tell us what you think we need to do to get there.
Right, thank you very much for having me. Hello, everybody. I'm Huge Boba from El Cafe Cartel. So we are based on Near. We've been there for like almost, I think, 1.5 years. Basically, what we're trying to do is represent and connect this bridge of Web 2 and Web 3 together through NFTs, of course. So we have several collections up and running already. We are hugely involved into the business of that is with coffee. And as well as we are trying to kind of make something on Near with dynamic trades as for the NFTs, right? So people can customize them, people can create their own NFTs, sort of things. And yeah, so essentially, just to touch down on what was said, I feel like right now the technologies for the NFTs and everything. I think the problem is about the onboarding people, right? Because for us, yes, NFT is simple, right? But as you said, right now for people, come up and talk with them. What is NFT? Something involved with the blockchain. Even that, like you have to kind of get lucky to meet this person. So one thing is the exposure and onboarding programs. The reason for me, for example, the reason why NFTs kind of started and basically exploded like back in the days, right, is because of their simplicity, right? There's, like, as you said, nothing is needed, right? You just can go there, you just can create program, online resources, plenty of them, they're available there. But then again, what's happening next, right? And that's where, for example, is a huge problem, because as we know, a lot of people made a lot of money just from NFTs launching and forgetting about them. So essentially what I feel like NFTs in the future, right, is about the incentive programs, right? Gaming, of course, as was mentioned previously, but also the reward program. So, for example, what we're doing with our kind of coffee marketplace, that we want to reward the holders. Not just, I'm not talking about like a basic things like staking all the things. No, something more like a discount. So, for example, a lot of companies back in the bull market, they've done it. Like, for example, I know some watches company, they, when you buy a watch, you have this NFT, and it's basically a membership status or sort of like a discount that you can basically sell, and so on and so on. But yeah, essentially, that's what I was about to say. That's it.
Thanks for that. Yeah, you're picking up a lot of the threads there. Coffee marketplace, that is interesting. It does lead me to one of the questions that we had here in terms of the infrastructures that we all sort of have access to right now in Web3 when it comes to NFTs. The default ones are, of course, OpenSea is the primary marketplace. And then the question is, is that sufficient? Do we need more infrastructure, or is it sufficient that, whether a certain type of game, or let's say the Web3 version of Ticketmaster, they have their own marketplaces built in. What is necessary? Is it a mixture of both? I'm sure people listening will be interested to know if there are any new NFT infrastructures being built, developed, coming to market. And again, the question over this dependency that the NFT marketplace has right now on Ethereum, that's not sustainable. I think everybody knows that. So how do we get over that hurdle where we're only as a community within Web3, we're only really interested in NFTs that are on Ethereum chain. Right now, that is a huge friction and problem when it comes to trading NFTs. We talked about frictionless markets. That's part of the unique value proposition of NFT technology. However, it's very much a friction problem whenever you have to spend $30, $40, $50, or $100 to mint or trade NFTs on Ethereum. So that's a major issue, and will likely cause scalability issues with regards to NFT technology being accessible to people in the mainstream. So if there's anybody that would like to speak about that, I know that crypto. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's go crypto.
Yeah, it's Adam from CryptoFights. Yeah, actually, this is probably one of the most veteran things I could come with, because we actually started on Ethereum back in 2018, and we were actually trying to do gameplay back then. When everyone, I mean, that's like insane back then. I mean, that's where most of the games you were booting up MetaMask and having to confirm, your game move back then, right? And so we've come a long way, but we started experimenting with like layer 2 solutions. We built a DAG on top of Ethereum, and we were doing all these different kind of techniques. And we hit a dead end, and we spent a year trying to make that work. And then we actually started looking at the UTXO, or otherwise known as Bitcoin. And Bitcoin versus kind of a lot of the EVM chains offer a very, very different kind of value proposition. And, I think, Kyle was talking about kind of gas fees and how do we make this essentially more user-friendly, a better user experience with the mass market. And so we actually kind of had to experiment with a lot of these things. And what we were able to come up with is actually we can let me kind of back up. The BTC, limited their block size to actually create this issue. And that's a very controversial topic. I'm also on a very controversial chain, Bitcoin SV, but one of the main tenets of that chain is unlimited block size. And the consequence of that is extremely low fees. I mean, we're talking so low that we can actually subsidize a fee on behalf of the user. We can actually pay on behalf of the user from essentially, you think almost like a server wallet account, and it can do that, and it would be so cheap to kind of create that better user experience. And so that kind of touches the onboarding problems. It touches the scalability problems because you have these things going on Ethereum where it's becoming so cost prohibitive of any success, right? If you think that's one of the worst problems, it actually hits something that's so viral, so successful, to where you actually cripple the market because of the fees, and it's just never going to be scalable. And then you also have kind of the layer 2 versus layer 1 controversy, which I don't know if we want to get into, but you had the whole layer 2 where we started to experiment with was because of the problem of layer 1. So all in all, over the years, we started looking at the UTXO or Bitcoin architecture, and it actually is really, really scalable. It could really handle everything. And it starts to pose the question of why are we even talking about scalability right now? We have all of these different blockchains that kind of offer kind of all of these different things, and there's a lot of rug pulls on some, and there's some really good projects, but it goes into the next, I think, big question, or maybe a big topic you might want to start thinking is about this multi-chain future. I'm really I kind of waffle on this because a multi-chain future reminds me of back when the internet first started with bulletin board systems, AOL, and so on. And it wasn't really until we had one internet that we could all use where it really took off. Because if you can imagine today where I dialed or I connected to AOL and then I had to tunnel into GoogleNet. And then, so every subscriber of, your ISP was essentially its own closed network. I mean, that's going to be essentially what blockchain, in my opinion, what blockchains would become, where we have 1,000 different blockchains holding billions or trillions of different items for people, and how are they going to kind of cross over, and you have bridges and all the issues with that. So again, we kind of had to struggle through this, and again, the UTXO architecture does trade off some of the kind of the global state machine that you get with Ethereum, but it does give you the scalability and the ability to subsidize on behalf of the users to where they have essentially a free experience. You can also create kind of a login and password or a Web 2 experience for login. You can essentially create an application Bitcoin wallet that they can use. I'm not sure exactly about seed phrases just yet because you still have that problem or the user having to back up. But I think it kind of paints this new possibility where if you did have a scalable chain, what could you actually build and what could you be successful with? Because I know CryptoKitties is kind of how I got into it, and it crippled Ethereum back then. And most of these other projects are crippling the network. And, we have a product coming out called the Fixed Gateway that is going to, cover Ethereum. But we were looking at how do we subsidize the fees for users because we're trying to attract mainstream gamers at this point, right? And how are they going to go acquire a cryptocurrency through, Ramp or some system where you have to go through KYC? I mean, it's ridiculous proposition, right? I'm a gamer, and you go in there and you stick your PayPal or a credit card, and you're done. And with all these other systems, we expect them to go through KYC just to be able to kind of do a couple of bucks worth of activity. So there's a lot of problems there, and I think that kind of goes to the question and answer of why we haven't seen a lot of these things break out. And I think that's kind of the central issue is that we don't have the components of something that could actually grow to 100 million people. There's just not enough people that are willing to go through the hurdles right now.
Too much friction. Yeah. Okay. Well, well summarized. Thanks for that. Avi, how's your sound doing there? Do you want to give it another crack?
Should we give it a try now? How are we doing?
Yeah, that's actually good. 4 on 5. Let's go.
That's good. Third time lucky. No, first of all, I agree with everything everyone said. I'll just go back to what I was saying before. One of your questions earlier was why are we still focusing on PFPs and I wouldn't call them, more like dump quick fire profits and then most people losing all the money projects when there's so much more technology the future is so much bigger and faster than we are today. I do think there are many companies that are building right now and are actually coming. I mean, I can tell you a project that I'm consulting for at the moment. I'm helping them out, and it's an amazing company doing hospitality. So it's just an example of uses that NFTs could be used in different blockchains. Is, for example, many hotels want to drop offers to either their existing client base or to the wider public. So today those offers are dropped on Groupons or on all different third-party middlemen kind of agents, companies that are too many people making a lot of money along the way, but the hotels want to get rid of their rooms. Now, if we flip the hospitality aspect onto an app which is directed through the blockchain, so you'll just drop in, you'll join the blockchain membership of the hotel or of the company that the hotel's chain is offering, and then they just drop rewards or different deals as NFT drops into the marketplace wherever you've joined into. So it creates a much stronger, healthier system, safer, and a much easier system for hotels to take advantage of, to try and use the NFT blockchain technology for their advantage of getting more customers into their doors with good deals and giving the customers good deals. I mean, the options are infinite of how many use cases you could be used to use a blockchain technology with different companies in different fields. That is something that's starting to develop, but I think it's a very normal thing in many different fields, in all the worlds. NFT blockchain technology being used is such a new phenomena to the world. So people are just now getting their feet wet and starting to understand how they can implement it within their company. I think it was Cal that said it before, which I really resonate with. I think customers long-term won't even know much about NFT technology behind the scenes. It's just going to be the back end is all going to change of how things work. It's a bit. One of the things I said a while ago. It's a bit like credit cards, right? If you go to a customer who's trying to buy a product in a store where he's, let's say, 10,000 miles away from his home, and he goes into the store and he wants to swipe his credit card, the customer, and actually probably even the seller, has no idea how the technology behind how the money goes from me, the consumer, to the seller. But there's many companies and many technologies that all work instantaneously to arrange that the money goes out of my credit card, my bank account, gets transferred across the world and goes to this guy's bank account to get payment for him to give him my product. The only thing that me and him care about is the fact that I swipe my card, he gets his money, and I get my product. So long term, blockchain technology is going to be used in the developer side of the world and in gaining more security and more authenticity in the world. But I think people speak a lot about education, and in onboarding people is going to be when it becomes simplified. When they have no idea they're using blockchain technology, it's just they understand that the method that they're using, which is simple to them, is a safer and a quicker and a more a better system to what there exists today. That's when I think, and that's what's starting to happen now, is that big brands are starting to use the technology within their system, within their strategy, whereas then the consumer and people are going to know a lot less about how these things work.
I like this discussion a lot. Thanks for that, Avi. I mean, one of the things that jumps out to me whenever I'm listening to people like yourself speak is when we talk here about use cases for NFTs, we're actually, we're talking about, it's synonymous with the potential for blockchain to really improve systems, improve, customer experiences, consumer experiences, and just overall have a positive impact on how we operate on a daily basis. So it's blockchain that's really holding the potential here, and NFTs is somehow has the key to unlock that potential for society. I like what you say. It's really true, but it's it's a little bit contradictory to what Crypto Fights was saying previously, in that we still need to solve the friction problems and make it possible for a seamless experience like you described. And the one is necessary for the other. We need to have almost like a frictionless system from the point of execution, right through till completion. so that the person doesn't necessarily need to know they're interacting with blockchain. But right now, that's just not possible. Or is it, I suppose? And that's the question we need to get to quite soon. Technology is moving at a very, very fast rate. And right now, probably on the panel, there's people here who know about solutions that are actually taking us that one step further and one step closer. I'd like to hear from Dr. LVL as well. What's your background and what's your experience with this type of technology and where we're headed?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I think a lot of great points. Maybe I'll just do a little introduction about myself. So I'm on the core team of Level Finance. Myself, I've been in the space since 2018, been in NFTs since a year and a half, so went through a few cycles, very exciting. So, I've been through a bull, bear, bull, and now we're kind of seeing a bit of a bear market in the NFT space at the moment. But just a bit about Level Finance. So for the past 6 months, we've been building what we aim to achieve, an omni-chain perpetual aggregator, or DEX, if you will. So it's a decentralized exchange. We started on the BNB chain, and in 5 months, we grew to become the largest perpetual DEX on BNB, totally organically. And we just launched an Arbitrum last week, so really excited about that. To date, we've almost hit $20 billion in trading volume. We've gained 24 million in fees and revenue, and we've got a market cap of almost 30 million. So very, very proud of what we've achieved, and NFTs are relevant for us now because we're going to be releasing an NFT project that's going to be a free airdrop for users of the platform. So in a way, it's to reward our loyal community members, but also we see the significance of having an utility-based NFT project, and I think it's you could probably term it under DeFi NFTs, where we want to be able to build a strong community. So the NFT project will be for the community, but we also want to make sure that we're just not releasing a project for the sake of a project. It's going to have real utility tied to everything we do at Level Finance, notably the things that you can currently do on the platform are staking, trading, and auctioning for our governance token. But it's going to have utility tied to the extent of the whole life cycle of the business. So we want to make sure that this is the only NFT collection that we will ever release. So we'll make sure that it has the best value for our users, and it carries on in utility indefinitely for the rest of the Level ecosystem and everything we build.
Can I ask a question
Sure.
just on that? So the NFT will obviously be, the people using the NFTs will transact quite a lot with the NFT. Is that, will you run into those issues that we talk about with transaction fees and scalability? Or, I suppose you're on BNB, so that's probably not going to happen. Sorry, not BNB, Binance Smart Chain. Is that correct?
So we're transitioning to Arbitrum. So we just launched Arbitrum last week, but the NFT will be an airdrop, right? So it'll be airdropped. It's totally zero cost to anybody. We're not here to earn any min funds, and it's going to be an omni-chain NFT. So we'll be working with Layer 0 to make sure that it's tradable across as many chains as we can.
Okay, so the NFT can actually be traded across different chains eventually. Is that what you're going for?
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And is Ethereum one of those chains? Because I suppose if you're interested, or if not consumers, but users are interested to capitalize on the NFT market on Ethereum, then it'd be quite nice for them to be able to do that. I suppose that's one of the big challenges everybody is facing when launching an NFT product is, the captive market is on one chain, but the utility is probably completely on another chain, right? So how do we transcend this is the big question, I suppose.
Yeah. I think the of course, the overarching topic here is just the state of NFTs in the present and the future. But as it relates to, I think DeFi specifically and our platform, it's going to be on Ethereum for sure. The use of it will also be on Ethereum, so it will be a staked NFT that will give, for example, boost in maybe trading rewards or providing liquidity rewards to every action that you can do on the platform. And we're still finalizing. Oh, not still finalizing. We haven't released details yet. But essentially, it would be a stakeable NFT, and you can stake more than one NFT to gain more rewards. And we're also thinking about dynamic NFTs, where the utility can potentially change over time, depending what you do with the NFT and how you use the platform.
So it's like almost like an avatar somehow. That's interesting. Cool. Thanks very much for that. We got a couple more speakers want to get through here. So Formakar, please welcome to the discussion and tell us, what your background is with regards to NFTs, and also how you see the NFT market evolving. What do you think is going to happen whenever the NFTs become popular again, let's say, quote unquote, whenever they are less depressing to look at when it comes to the status of people's NFT portfolios? Whenever people can really get excited about NFTs again, what will that look like?
Hello everyone, guys. Thank you for inviting me to this Twitter space. So actually our experience is really easy. We just make an NFT in our project and to make some utility on them, and we make our NFTs dynamic. So actually, the people who will play our games, they will have opportunity to upgrade their NFTs and have more benefits in our projects. Also, as we group of projects, so the NFT will be something like, as you said, avatar. And it was supposed to have benefits in many projects of our company. Such an easy experience. And actually, previously, we had this simple experience. So there is one startup, I think it called 1x. It is a platform for traders. And actually, they try to implement it in their system. So people who trade on their platform, they will get like benefits when they trade like for some amount of money, or maybe they will get some sort of leaderboard. So the NFT will be upgraded by the system, and actually it will allow people to have like less commissions, or maybe the priority when you try to withdraw or deposit some tokens to your account, or some other stuff like this. So this is our experience.
Thanks for that. Yeah, that's really interesting. So that's the second time now people are talking about dynamic NFTs, NFTs that evolve based on your interaction with them as a user, somebody who owns that NFT, and then the value accrues to that. So it's really interesting to hear that type of spin on what was starting off as a picture of an ape, a profile picture of an ape. And interestingly, I'm looking at Kyle's avatar right now on Twitter, and he has a bored ape there. And Yuga Labs is getting a lot of stick, I suppose, here, or anytime people are informally referring to NFTs as profile pics. But of course, Yuga Labs has taken it to the next level, and their whole metaverse and ecosystem is quite complex. And I'm definitely not going to oversimplify what they've done with regards to NFTs, because that would just be crazy. And in fact, they're pioneers as well. So I hope nobody here listening is thinking that we're here to talk shit about the people who ventured into this market first. I suppose the question on the panel here, and how how I'd like to frame the discussion is really, what does the next run look like? Is it a copy paste of the last one with regards to NFTs, or what will we be looking to collect as NFT kind of investors, or for want of a better word, or is it not going to look like that anymore? Is NFTs just going to become a silent? Some people talked about NFTs just sitting as a technology in the background as people do their thing online digitally, and then NFTs, or the technology of NFTs, is operational in the background, but nobody knows and nobody cares. Is that the future of NFTs? In which case, there wouldn't really be this huge marketplace for flipping profile pics. If that's the case, then I suppose that's whatever leads to normalization of Web3 technology in society. I suppose that is what we should be looking for, because short-term gains is really not sustainable. I would like to invite the next speaker. Thank you for being patient. Trav NFT. Maybe you want to speak about your engagement with NFTs, and also how you think we are evolving in Web3 with regards to our use of NFTs. Are we maximizing? Are we getting closer to maximizing the use of this technology?
Hi, can you guys hear me? Am I loud and clear?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm Sean. I'm the founder of Trevor's Web3 agency. What we do is we help integrate Web2 companies into the Web3 space. So currently we are working with Curator Social, which is a very well-known creative agency in New Zealand. So they have worked with well-known brands such as McDonald's, Air New Zealand, Daniel Wellington. Yeah, so the goal of our agency is to mainly bring NFTs and Web3 to the mainstream companies and the so-called the well-known companies in the Web2 space. So this is our goal, and we have been working with many well-known Web2 companies. So regarding the question that you have raised earlier on whether how will the future of NFTs and will look like, we strongly believe that there will not be a massive bull run where people are still flipping PFPs or making short-term profits, but rather what will happen is that many well-known Web2 companies will come into the space, try to integrate Web3 technology, NFT technology into their current business model to improve their current business structure or to make additional revenue. So to bring up an example is we are also working with local gyms in my country. So currently I'm staying in Singapore. So what we are doing is we are working with local gyms to help them integrate Web3 technology into their business model. So why are we targeting gyms in the current state of the NFT market is because we strongly believe that NFTs can provide an additional stream of revenue for these gyms. And at the same time, based on a survey, it was shown that 67% of gym members never actually use their membership. And recent findings also revealed that Americans spend around 397 million a year on unused gym memberships. So we realized that these problems can be mitigated with the use of NFT technology. If you were to see, NFT technology will allow you to sell your gym pass in the secondary market, and by doing so, you wouldn't have to worry about the massive upfront payment at the start when you're purchasing your gym membership, right? So this worry will be mitigated completely. And secondly, by integrating NFT technology into your business at this stage, you will get the first mover advantage where you're able to stand out from your competition. And this is a selling point that we are pushing to local gyms as well, because they're able to attract the Web3 crowd, and at the same time they can make money from the royalty of every sale when there is a sale in the secondary market. And another key point that we realized that how NFT technology can be integrated in the Web2 space is that many companies are actually looking to build a Web3 community because they know that NFT is the future, they know Web3 is the future. And hence Curator Social, one of the companies we are working with right now, what they are trying to do is they are trying to build a community in the Web3 space and eventually use the NFTs that they are so-called selling and putting them into children's storybooks. So they are trying to create a successful so-called IP in the Web2 space as well. So there are actually many use cases for NFTs in the Web2 space and how we can integrate them successfully and smoothly into the Web3 space. But based on our observation and the people that we have been working with, we don't believe that there will be another massive bull run where people are still flipping PFP, but rather it will be the big players in the Web2 space coming into the Web3 space to try integrate the technology into their business model. And I believe that based on what the other panel members have shared, we have a lot to offer, and eventually we can definitely integrate these Web2 players into the Web3 space.
Super interesting. Thanks so much. Well, that's the first time I've heard about some of those use cases. Children's storybook was definitely interesting. The gym membership one was fascinating, and indeed, that's like a dream for a use case for blockchain technology is just making things so much more efficient, so there's less waste, and also that the individual user gets to monetize the value of this technology. It can become cheaper for you to be able to go to the gym, for example, or if you have a gym membership that you're not using, you can monetize that rather than the entity or the corporation, taking the benefit of that inefficiency. So it's great to hear that. Really encouraging, fascinating, in fact. So well done, you guys. Two more. Well, actually, there's a few more speakers. So we're still going with the spaces today. We're discussing, just in case you've just joined us, we're discussing NFTs. The shift in use cases from bull to bear, and I think there's almost a unanimous belief or thesis that we haven't yet reached the full potential of NFT technology within all of the potential use cases, which are somehow infinite. And the last bull market was, I suppose, typified by profile pick investments, creating huge value for some lucky people who got in early. And we're sort of saying that that's very, very specific, and it's the first generation of this technology, but that it's only the tip of the iceberg, or it's almost not relevant in the future of NFT technology, to the extent where we start to hear some of the use cases being put forward by some of our panelists, which is really, really fascinating. I'm glad we're having this discussion. For me, it gets me excited about the technology that we're all involved with. Whenever we hear that we can really make a difference to individuals and also systems at large with this technology. Virtua Metaverse, would you like to unmute yourself? Tell us a little bit about your thesis for NFTs, and also what do you think needs to happen in order for us to fully maximize the potential of NFTs?
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for having us on here this morning. That's been a great discussion. I see a whole lot of future use cases of NFTs, and I really agree with some of the points that were mentioned earlier, such as, I don't see NFTs being like the future name necessarily. It's more going to be the technology. It's going to be what it is, but not necessarily what it's referred to. I see them being referred to as your gaming assets, your, loyalty cards, your gym memberships, and all the things that were touched on already on that. Some PFPs. I don't think the days of PFPs are done by any means. I look at like my kids' friends, and all that, and kind of this next generation coming up, and digital items, digital identity, and their digital collectibles are really very important to them. And it's something they really covet and treasure and hold close. I know. I tell the story at Christmas this last year. My brother-in-law got my kids these, $50 or $75 like Minecraft, like really cool large play sets. They haven't touched the toys. They didn't touch the toys when they got them. They opened them, and all they cared about was pulling out that QR code that they could scan and upload a digital item into their account, into their Roblox account, when they got it. And that was, where their, kind of heart and passion is. The physical stuff is I don't believe it's ever moving out. I don't believe it's ever gone. There's always going to be a strong physical, people treasuring their physical goods. But we're moving away from the times of people collecting DVDs. It's more streaming and digital downloads, collecting records or CDs. It's all on their Spotify or on their iTunes account. And more the world's going digital. One real big use case that with NFTs, and something that Virtua has been kind of exploring and playing with in the background, is directed towards that. So things like, maybe when I'm walking through the retail store and my son sees the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy on the shelf and says, "Dad, I want this. Can I get this?" And I'm saying, "No, not right now." But there's a QR code on the front, and they can just scan that QR code and upload the digital item, the digital, twin to that, into their, metaverse or their game or their, digital collectible account, whatever that may be, and have that item in the digital format. Come Christmas or a birthday or something like that, I can go through their digital items they have and order a physical version of that. So it, benefits the creator or manufacturer or brand for the toy, and also can, really kind of start to build their online presence in that way, in that digital form that they really, cherish. It really doesn't cost much of anything for, Paramount to create an endless supply of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle digital collectibles. But at the same time, it can be really powerful for them in a marketing and brand awareness sense when, people are seeing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, collectibles and items all over. People are using it for their PFPs, for their gaming assets, for their game profiles, whatever it may be. And at the same time convert some of that back to a physical sale item at some point. So that's one big area where I think NFTs could really make a push, because this next generation, it really feels like they don't want to be marketed to. Marketing in general is really making a big shift, I feel like, where people aren't going to be want to be sold to necessarily, but want to align with their interests more. And I think that could be a really powerful way in marketing to do that, and that can kind of combine those technologies.
That's interesting, super interesting, in fact. And I love that you brought the counter perspective there. And I have to, I've got two children as well, both highly active in the digital space, and I couldn't agree with you more. So what I'm starting to understand here from this discussion is that it's perhaps not an either or situation. What we have in our hands is something which is immersive, really involving digital identities, digital collectibles, which I agree with you, is very much a strong part of the online culture. And then, the broad spectrum that takes us right through to, gym memberships or loyalty cards or children's storybooks or whatever the other use cases are being talked about. Which is even better, even more fascinating for me, because you sort of see NFTs applicable everywhere somehow. That's super interesting. Thanks for that intervention. I just want to say thank you to all the panelists who have come before as well. We're having to kind of move on to the next panelist as we go, and therefore we're not able to have a lot of our panelists back. But if you desperately want to intervene, just put up your hand and we will get to you. So thanks for everybody for being patient and also understanding. So the next speaker is Nunu Spirits. If you're there, Nunu Spirits, please unmute yourself and tell us, what your engagement is with NFT technology, and if you agree with the points so far, or if you have another perspective.
Oh yeah, definitely. Am I coming in loud and clear?
5 on 5. Go ahead.
Awesome. So yeah, I hopped in early. I was told to come for like the 5 o'clock segment, but I saw it was on already, so I hopped in, and oh my God, I felt like I was at home, because everyone is saying exactly what I've been saying for like months now about, the future of NFTs and crypto being invisible. The idea that we need to move away from, this kind of old, tired branding of NFTs and semi-fungible tokens and all this stuff, that jargon, and custodial wallets that are great for certain things but horrible for most users. Yeah, it's been an awesome discussion so far. I really want to applaud all the panelists who came before me. Really top comments. So Nunu Spirits is a hybrid Web 2, Web 3 game in which our goal is to play fun games with a cooperative focus. And we want to leverage all of our energies from inside playing the game and inside of our Web3 portal to plant trees in the real world. So we have a number of tree partners all over the planet that help us plant trees. And that's really kind of one of the things that I saw when entering the NFT space back at the end of 2021, was that there was really a lack of tangibility in terms of the value of crypto assets in general, especially any token that wasn't Bitcoin or maybe even Ethereum. And I was thinking that, if you can tie your NFT to something tangible in the real world, you can provide a bit of stability towards that value. So, if you have a NFT that's the value of a cup of coffee, but you actually tie that to the purchase of a cup of coffee, it kind of has, or the ability to get a discount off a cup of coffee, as we were talking about coupons and kind of loyalty programs and stuff like that before, then it kind of retains that value, and it doesn't, it isn't subject to the whims of a hype market, which is what we see every time we enter a bear market. Is all of the hype kind of dies down, and the projects end up closing because all of the value kind of goes away. And what you saw in play to earn games, especially, was this mass exodus away from these games as soon as the earning kind of dried up. And this is really unfortunate because some of those, not many of those games, but some games really have kind of an ability to captivate and create longevity for gameplay. And we haven't really seen that in the NFT space yet. So that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to make some fun games, have some fun with those games and our players and our community, and plant some trees and do some good for not just our environment, but for the crypto industry in general. It just started out as a project like, let's have some fun and plant some trees. And then it was like, oh, wait, there's a little bit more to it than that. And this has some impact on something else other than just, doing something nice for our environment. So I hope
That's
that
so cool.
yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for that. That's well, first of all, congratulations. Really, really nice to hear the fruits of your labor. I mean, it's such a good project, and using technology to help not just kind of help people have a better life, but let's sustain the planet as well. I mean, that's it's hugely
Well, and I think in therein,
honorable.
we also stumbled on sustainability for an earning economy as well.
Nice.
When we entered the space, everybody was kind of aware that these earning systems weren't sustainable. Everybody was saying they're not sustainable, and everybody who was building them was like, "We'll figure it out when we need to." Right now, it's sustainable, and then no one kind of figured it out when the bear market hit, and all those games just pretty much lost all the users.
Yeah, totally. I fully understand that. We're a VC. My other company, Metavest Capital, invests in specifically in Web3 games, and we've felt this pain point hugely. So if you've managed to develop a sustainable game economy, you've done well.
You have to have consumers and you have to have producers in order to have an economy. That's the fundamental basis of an economy. If you have everyone who's producing and the only reason they're consuming is to produce more, you don't have anybody who's actually, we call them sinks in the game industry. We don't have anybody who's taking the currency out of the system. Everybody's just kind of piling it on top of each other until it collapses.
Totally.
So with a free-to-play game, you have a free-to-play game and you have a Web3 kind of portal, and they kind of watch each other, so we have this hybrid model with this bridge, and it just basically watches the data that's happening in its counterpart. And the idea is that in a free-to-play game, players don't want to engage with crypto. They don't want to have a wallet. They don't want to have to register or log in. But they still want to play the game, and they love the idea of unique digital collectibles. They're just not ready to wholesale buy into these companies that have been making money off them for years, with a new NFT, kind of schema, and they've been kind of, made gun shy, with a lot of the, rug pulls and stuff that we saw, and of course then the Ponzi scheme, traditional play to earn economy. So yeah, I mean, I don't blame the fans of Worms when Team 17 tried to launch their NFT project. I mean, which would be a great game for NFTs, right? I mean, you have Worms that are NFT collectibles, and I think it's such a great idea. And I would love to have a digital collectible worm that's one of one, that's my own, like whether I built it or whether it was a random draw kind of thing. But they canceled the project within 48 hours of announcing it because there was so much backlash from the fans, which is unfortunate because I think it could have been a stronger model for monetization inside that game. But everybody's kind of resistant to new things. It was like when free to play first came out, people were really sus, but they didn't remember the AOL discs that got shuffled around in the mailbox. and then when ad earning or ad payments came in,
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh, I don't want fucking ads in my game." Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody with foul language, but they were really pissed. And then only like last year we actually had a player write us, and they're like, "Where are my ads?" And I was like, "What do you mean, where are your ads? Like, we don't have any ads in the game." And they're like, "Well, I want some ads so I can earn more and I can do more." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
I was
it's
just like
crazy,
mind
crazy.
blown.
So next week we actually the All Street Beat next week focuses on sustainable economies. So be sure
Okay.
to be here for that one,
Yeah,
and
for
maybe
sure.
maybe we can have you up speaking about
For sure.
sustainable economies. I don't want to get too off track, but I mean,
Right.
fantastic. Kudos to how you guys are thinking. I love all the different elements. Maybe Crypto Wink, you can come in, and there's a few things that have been picked up on so far, which our last speaker just said custodial wallets are absolutely necessary in how we view Web3, but they're a complete nightmare when it comes to friction and just getting scalable users. So what are your views on that with regards to NFT technology? And also, I love the quote from the last speaker: "Bull markets are based on hype, but utility essentially doesn't need hype because it's users using something because they need to or they want to. It's better for them." I'm paraphrasing here, so apologies if that wasn't exactly how you said it. But yeah, the next speaker, come in and tell us your views, and also, what's your association with NFT technology?
Cool. Thanks for having me, Commonwealth. It's really glad to be here and share my experience and views about NFT and the development in the NFT space. So just to introduce myself, my name is Kathy. I am currently an investor at a Web3 fund named Old Fashioned Research. So I've been in the industry for 5 years, and I still remember the very first NFT that I got is Meebits in August 2021. That was the probably the craziest ever NFT summer. I saw basically how after actually almost immediately after I bought my Meebit at 3 ETH, the floor price just flipped to like 6 ETH. So a lot of crazy things over there, but to be very honest, in terms of NFT investment, I didn't actually gain much. I actually lost quite a lot in terms of minting, chasing the NFT mints, and then buying NFT. My most successful investment in NFT could be Azuki, where right after I missed the Dutch auction at the public mint, I actually bought two at OpenSea at around 2 ETH, and then I sold it at around 20 ETH. So this is actually my most successful investment in NFT. And after that, I sort of turned into an NFT collector slash investor into an NFT builder. So in 2022, I actually advised a GameFi project on actually Avalanche. So basically in that process, I was really involved in their strategy in terms of, the go-to-market strategy in terms of like NFT mint, NFT launch, and then how NFT, how they're, basically the role of NFTs and tokenomics in the gameplay. So through that process, I also actually learned a lot about how NFTs as an asset, as a gaming asset, how to actually incentivize and also engage players in the games through different gameplays and also tokenomics. And then at OFR, we actually also one of our actually main investment thesis. It's about driving the mass crypto adoption globally, and one of that, I think, one key use case that leads to Web3, that will lead to Web3's mass adoption is its NFT, because it's actually the very first. If you think about it, it's actually the very first non-financial application of crypto. Well, it becomes a little bit finance. There's a finance part of NFT as well, but it actually involves a crazy number of people, and especially non-tech people. It involves creators, marketers, and a lot of different group of non-tech talents into the crypto space. And earlier this year, we actually announced the acquisition of OnlyForce together with a couple other crypto or NFT whales. And OnlyForce, if you ever play around NFT in the summer of 2021, it's actually the very first anime-focused side faces profile pic project, which actually gained a huge success since minting. And after the acquisition, we actually started on working on basically the how to actually scale the NFT brand into different verticals. So I think when it comes to the development of NFTs, I'm seeing actually two emergent trends at the current market downturn. So one is that with all the blue chip NFTs which have capitalized in the last few years, in the last I think 1 or 2 years, they are actually exploring their ways to scale and then to influence and to scale to a bigger group of influence. So we see like Yuga Labs actually which raised $500 million last year, and also acquire a different NFT collection. So they're building their Yuga verse. They're building their Yugaverse through gaming, and then that's sort of like really connects different collections of their different NFT collections under the Yuga Labs, and then they have really amazing storytellings. They have very, I think this is their mission. And then also another example, it's Pudgy Penguin, which is also our portfolio. So what they're doing is that they're trying to develop into the mass market through toy collections. They launched their actually very first new physical toy collection at Amazon US last month, which actually gained a pretty, which also became pretty successful. So this is one trend. With OnlyForce, it's also developing into a Web3 native storytelling brand through Comic-Con, through comics, and gaming. So in July, OnlyForce would actually have a presence at Comic-Con San Diego, and then releases actually very first comic collections. And there are more new updates coming up in the next couple of months. So this is one thing with all this blue chip NFT projects. And then the second trend that I have observed is, as you said, the utility NFTs. I think for more traditional business or Web2 businesses, which wants to leverage the NFT technology, and then to explore something new. It could be into using NFT into their loyalty program. We see Starbucks, Trav NFT also gave a really good example about using NFT in the gym membership, and then we see I think a lot more luxury brands or even consumer brands are also exploring this, and Nike is probably the most among all the brands. Nike is probably the most engaged and involved in NFT. They acquired the Red KT, and then recently they just announced that they would actually built I think an NFT, a digital space at Fortnite to display their digital collectibles of their sportswears. And I think NFT could be also applied in ticketing. This is also gonna be a very interesting use case to expect, to prove solid ownership of a digital goods. So I'm actually really excited about all these developments, and I think in the next 1 or 2 years, we're going to see a lot more use cases, a lot more interesting use cases with NFTs, and it doesn't, so as lots of our amazing speakers have said, it's not really just about digital collectibles. It is also, it could be consumer goods as well, with true utilities, that also that's also connected to people's real life. Yeah, so yeah, I think I'll just stop here and give more
No, that
time
was
to other speakers.
that was so useful. I think you definitely qualify yourself as an NFT expert, and thank you for sharing this on the panel, because for anybody who's listening, I think the thesis and the outlook for the market that the speaker just shared, is highly valuable. You talked about highly capitalized PFP collections from the last cycle, for example, Yuga Labs or Pudgy Penguins, who have done extremely well, but obviously don't want to stop there. They became sort of fashionable with I suppose the IP around what they represent as profile pics. They became valuable for the sake of being an NFT rather than having utility, and then they are looking to find ways to grow that, or to leverage that kind of for want of a better phrase, sexy digital kind of identity to the broader markets. And I love the idea of them bringing out Pudgy Penguin toys and things like that. But then, like the complete reverse of that somehow is NFT technology proving useful for systems and applications in the real world. And it's so interesting that we see these two kind of threads developing in this discussion, where both are valid, both are happening, and both are here to stay, but almost kind of offering completely different kind of perspectives on the NFT market. So find that really, really interesting. I'd love to hear what you think is, I suppose for everybody listening, as an investor in NFTs, what do you think is an interesting NFT project right now? And without, hopefully you don't have conflict of interest, but something that you just think is kind of very interesting right now. You can maybe just post a comment in the chat, or post a comment in the thread of the spaces, rather than bringing you back up, because I've got a couple more speakers. But please do that if there's a project that you find very interesting from an investor retail investor point of view, then please go ahead and do that. So the last couple of speakers, thank you very much for everybody who's been patient. I know we've gone a little bit over time. There's two more speakers I want to invite up, and then I want to end with Commonwealth's very own Tony Kelly, who's going to explain a little bit about what Commonwealth is doing with NFTs, which is extremely innovative as well in its own right. But first, before that, I want to ask So Shank to unmute yourself and give us your views and everything you've heard today. And straight after that, OX Prismatic as well. Go ahead.
Thanks for bringing me up. Super fascinating conversation. NFTs is like a passion thing for me. It's been just a quick background about myself. Been in this space since 2017, so have seen a fair bit of ups and downs in the market. And I think after each bear market, we have come out as a community, as a group. The whole crypto community has come out much stronger, and I think similar thing will happen here. I also am the co-founder of a hedge fund called 3POC, which primarily does a fair bit of prop trading, and on completely other side, we advise a lot of go-to market for projects primarily focused on either South Asia and Dubai region. a couple of NFT projects like Magic Batch, Pluto, which is coming up soon, are some of the ones which we work very closely with. For me, I think NFTs happened in 2021 summer, like pretty much all of us. But for me, it happened via art blogs, which was where I discovered, and I kind of went into that rabbit hole, not necessarily via PFPs. And since then, have realized how much potential these have. And in my mind, I generally kind of break down the whole NFT ecosystem into three large chunks. One is what I think of as consumer-facing NFTs, which will help onboard us the next millions of users or billions of users. Those are primarily driven by brands like Nike or Starbucks or all the gaming projects, which essentially or social NFTs, which kind of just fit into a day-to-day user's life and therefore are much more utility driven. Within that space, of course, people will find some niches, but I think that's one large segment, and we clearly see an adoption wave happening there. Almost all brands, at least we know of, are thinking about these NFTs, and it's almost organic. Like nobody's actually. I don't know of a chain which is actively pushing these brands, but it's like, for example, we work very closely with Polygon teams. I know that their BD team is great, but I also know that there's just tremendous amount of organic action on that side. On other hand, a completely opposite spectrum is something which I really think is very interesting is on the whole art piece, which we probably haven't chatted more here. And there, I think generative art, AI art is really fascinating. I think it was in one of the spaces with Snowpro, who's the founder of Art Blocks. He said that imagine that you could actually walk into IKEA and generate using an Art Blocks engine, generate a one-on-one NFT, actually mint it there and get a digital edition and a physical edition of that right there in the store. That itself, the art itself is, I think on Amazon itself is a $2 billion industry. Like that's the amount of art sold. And his view was that instead of people buying replicas and copies, you could have your own one-on-one pieces which are customized, which are there. And then you have all the art collectors. So it's a very different segment, but I think that's another huge opportunity and potential. And that probably the last and kind of in between both these two is what we were discussing a lot about PFP projects in general. And as Kathy rightly said, the OG projects have kind of moved to next level, are kind of raising the bar. But the way we think through this is that these are almost like pre-seed investments into areas which are unknown. Like, I mean, the most of the projects which come in have visions which are completely disruptive. Like if you talked about VAYC, they wanted to be, at one point, their vision was very clear that they wanted to be disrupt Disney itself. Like they want to build from there, and then you have Pudgy, which wants to disrupt the whole IP play and the consumer play. So that's how we think of it, as like these are pre-seed investments in some super interesting ideas and concepts. And like any pre-seed investment or a portfolio of pre-seed investment, a lot of them will fail, but it will make the ecosystem better. And yeah, some of them will obviously build great stuff, and yeah, if we are lucky, we will participate in them. But otherwise, also, I think it will just help the ecosystem superbly. So yeah, I'll kind of that's my thought.
That's brilliant. Yeah, the last two speakers I think are really informed and academic. Sorry, what was your name again, if you wouldn't mind?
Sashan.
Session, thanks. Yeah, Session and the speaker before have really given us, in a nutshell, I suppose, a really great way to digest, the NFT current state of the market, but also the future outlook. Both of them looking at it from an investment point of view, which I think is very, very interesting for everybody listening or anybody who wants to listen to this recording. Because you're essentially getting expert guidance on how to understand, where the trends are developing when it comes to NFT technology. Super interesting, super important, and very hard to disagree with. And thank you for that categorization. I think it's really useful for us. I like the third category and the way you look at it in terms of using technology almost just for the pure purpose of disrupting existing systems, and not really with an end goal in mind, but rather just to go out to change things and see where that takes us. And I think there's a place for that, and I love that it comes with something that's highly recognizable in terms of a profile pic, identity, or brand, and something that people can really sort of get behind culturally. So that's super, super interesting. And we have seen that develop quite a lot with, with the communities really latching on to something for, the purpose of just identifying with whatever it is they're doing, either the look or the sound or the narrative. And I think that, really speaks to the Web3 community and the degens that, kind of are first in this space and pioneering this space. And there really is a place for that. So we're not going to say that, the big brands are going to come in and take over. There's a place for the OGs. And I like the way you said OGs there as well. That's brilliant. Before I go to Tony, there's one more. I think, can we just get back Formacar? I think Formacar wanted to pitch in with a little bit extra alpha or ideas. And then I'm going to ask Tony Kelly from Commonwealth just to close us off. Formacar, if you're still there. No, I don't think Formacar is listening right now because they're not unmuting. Then I'm just going to take this opportunity to thank everybody in the panel. I think you guys have been unbelievable today. I hope everybody listening has been taking notes and sort of formulating their own ideas about how NFT technology can impact society, what the pitfalls are, what the current pain points are, how we're looking at transcending those. There's already some really clear examples of getting around those pain points, which I think is incredibly important, because it would be wrong of us to sit here and just have this conclusion that utility is there, but we're not able to capitalize on the potential use cases because we have too much friction whenever there are solutions to this friction. So I'm going to bring in Tony Kelly. He's the CEO and the CTO of Commonwealth. And Tony, just tell us how Commonwealth is approaching NFTs or using the NFT technology in how it is bringing to market its application.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. And yeah, great panel, I have to say, today. Very interesting listening. Yeah, as Kyle kind of pointed out earlier on, we kind of see utility NFTs kind of as receipts, right? It's like a signpost pointing towards the utility rather than the utility in itself. Like the real value is kind of almost extrinsic to the NFT, unlike a BAYC or a generative art PFP. It always reminds me of that line from Bruce Lee movie. Utility NFTs are like a finger pointing at the moon. Don't look at the finger, look at the moon. So I think we do have a lot of education and usability issues to deal with before NFTs reach mainstream acceptance, I think. But I do think, to reinforce what your panel said, the amount of use cases is kind of going to explode. And I think during the next bull market, I think we'll see a huge proliferation and step change in how people engage with NFTs. I do think also, I think it's worth pointing out that NFTs are almost the more tangible part of Web3 for a lot of people, the less abstract part in some ways. So I do see that as a kind of a gateway for mainstream adoption. On Commonwealth, we could have made our own NFTs into PFPs, but we kind of felt we had already so many barriers to entry for retail investors already that we wanted to keep things kind of simple and as accessible as possible. We've a pretty ruthless focus on product market fit. So we've kind of used NFTs in two ways currently, with more plans in the future. So we did our Genesis NFT, was a fundraise vehicle, which just gives ownership to a generous allocation of wealth tokens, but also access to a lifetime revenue share of the platform. Obviously, there'll be token gated access for the OGs and the early supporters to certain events. But we've also then provided additional utility via staking or locking up the NFTs until TGE, which provides an additional 10% of token allocation and has the benefit then for us of reducing sell pressure ahead of TGE and the app launch. But I think the most interesting use we have, and again, to Kyle's point, right, we need to come up with a better name than kind of a fund NFT. We issue an NFT each time an investor makes an investment into one of our funds. So it memorializes your ownership of a percentage of the fund and locks in the index at the time you invested in. So in that sense, it's like a proxy for a share certificate or a convertible note or a SAFT agreement, if people know what that is. It also provides token-gated access to fund governance. The only people who can vote on investment decisions in a fund, obviously, are the investors in that fund. With their voting power is relative to their stake in the fund, but the access is via their ownership of the fund NFT. Our NFTs can be fractionalized and sold as required. So, you can imagine you may have made an investment and 2-3 years down the line, you require some liquidity, but you don't want to unstake the full amount. You can fractionalize your NFT to a custom amount. We'll mint you a new NFT, and that then could be sold either in whole or in part on the listings marketplace we will provide, or on OpenSea as you see fit. Obviously, the advantage of selling it via our own marketplace and via our own community is that the transaction fees go to the protocol and stay on within Commonwealth, as opposed to going to OpenSea. So we see another use case then could be, we expect that some folks may want to dollar cost average into certain funds over a period of time. So you can imagine you might end up with a kind of a number of NFTs over time. So for quality of life, you may want to merge those together if they're all from the same fund, and then it's much easier for maneuvering, moving them should you acquire it. But we see a potentially more interesting use case where somebody could actually merge a fund NFT from, say, a metaverse fund with a fraction of in a fund NFT from an infrastructure fund, let's say, which would create an utterly unique investment NFT and provide kind of a broader range, a broader exposure, I guess, to diversified assets from different funds, making it a very unique and tradable asset. So we're kind of calling them meta fund NFTs for the time being. So anyone has any better ideas for what we can call these things other than NFTs, we're all ears and we'd love to hear from you. We've got a couple of other use cases that we're not really talking about yet. It's early days, but we really kind of want to drive home the utility of NFTs and see how it complements what we do with the investment protocol that we're developing. So thanks, Tim.
Thanks so much, Tony. I know we're going to get to the end of the spaces now, and maybe we've gone a little bit over time, but I do think it's important to also touch, specifically from Commonwealth side of things, important to touch on what the other people have brought up earlier with regards to custody wallets and the friction around seed phrases and onboarding, especially when it comes to mainstream adoption. How is Commonwealth tackling that issue? Just a few words on that before we close off.
Well, we're actually spending quite a lot of time on usability and trying to solve some of these kind of difficult problems. And part of the solution will be in the kind of UX and the UI we'll develop. And part of that will be determined by the chain we ultimately launch on. As you know, we're looking at a number of layer 2 solutions. Some of the solutions we're looking at actually give us the ability to kind of abstract, if you like, or do account abstraction and create smart contract wallets in quite a smart way. Right now, we're using a third-party system that's quite common called Taurus Wallet, which is open source, for creating wallets automatically for new users. And then we have to go through the onerous task of getting them their secure private keys in a secure manner, without us having access to that data, but actually making sure that the user is educated and has backed that up. So that same kind of friction is there for a lot of new users. You'll see the same technology used in MetaMask and even in Binance Wallet. So it's still a lot of friction. Even that attempt to try and solve that problem for the user creates so many other usability issues because of the nature of the tech. So I do believe there's a number of solutions emerging now. I think between wallets and layer 2s, there's going to be a lot more emphasis on smart contract wallets, and that will allow kind of gasless transactions, batching transactions, recurring payments, for example, and even safer ways to recover your private keys in the event of a mishap. So I think watch this space. I think you're going to see a lot of innovation over the next, say, 12 to 18 months, particularly in kind of wallets and accounts.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Tony. Watch this space indeed. Listen, I think I'm going to have to call an end to the All Street Beat. We've gone a little bit over time today, but thanks to everybody who listened, and a special thank you to the panel today. There's too many of you to go through by name, but the diversity of opinions and perspectives, and the qualified perspectives from people who are living and breathing Web3, but specifically NFT technology use cases within Web3. I certainly learned a lot today, and I hope you did too. Thanks. If you really enjoyed the space, don't forget to comment on the thread and also retweet it. And we'll see you next week for another episode of All Street Beat. We're going to talk about sustainable token economies. One of the panels brought that up already today, and how important that is in successful Web3 companies, and not a lot of people have gotten this right so far. So I think it's going to be a fascinating discussion. Thanks everybody for All Street Beat. Thanks again to our panelists, and have a great day wherever you are.